Hello and welcome friends. In unit 1 we have been discussing about services, and we have talked about the types of service industries and the global trends. We did a analysis of how different services can be categorized into different types. We talked about the differences between goods and services. We talked about service mix categories, and then more importantly we talked about the various unique characteristics of services and how a marketer has to deal with those characteristics. Then towards the end we started discussing the 7 P's of service marketing, and as far as the 7 P's were concerned, we were done with the discussion on product, price, place, promotion and physical evidence. And you would recall that we were in the middle of discussion on the processes. You would also recall that in the last session that we had, we talked about the processes, and we also talked about the different types of processes and where the variability is high, and we also talked about the service performance process blueprint. Right? We were also introduced to new terms like line of action, line of visibility, customer actions, on-stage contact actions, backstage contact actions and support processes. Now today we are going to deal with this in a little more detail, and I'll discuss with you another example, and I'll also discuss with you the ingredients of a service blueprint. Fine. Why? Because this particular topic has been given as a standalone topic in unit 2 also, so I have decided to spend a little more time on discussing service blueprint. So basically service blueprint is basically, as I said earlier also, it's a plan which is actually depicting how a marketer, how a service provider is providing services to the customers. Fine. So it's a planning tool which specifies how service is to be provided. So in that sense it helps the marketer also, because he now understands how they are delivering the service, what are the important steps in delivering the service, what happens while we are delivering the service, what does the customer do, what do we do as the service providers, what people at the backstage who assist us provide the service do. So it's a good tool for the marketer also, so that he may have a clear-cut idea of how the services are being delivered and what other things needed to be done to deliver the services to the satisfaction of the client, right? And the various ingredients of a service blueprint include the physical evidence, right? In the last discussion that we had, let me go back a little to the last slide. I did not mention the physical evidence as such. See, you don't find any physical evidence here, right? We have only talked about these 4 things, right? We have not mentioned the physical evidence, but please understand that physical evidence is also very, very important, right? So a service blueprint would also have a physical evidence. Then it would include the customer actions or the client actions. What does the client do? What does the customer do when he comes to get the service delivered to him, when he comes to consume the service? So we'll be jotting down every single thing that the customer does. Then what do the on-stage employees do? On-stage employee actions which are visible to the client. I took up the example of a tikki wala yesterday, though again tikki wala is not delivering only food, it is also delivering some service to you. Though the food may be a major ingredient of his offering, but he is also delivering some service. But we had seen that on-stage employee actions are those actions which are performed by those employees which are sitting at the front desk and dealing and interacting with the customer face to face and providing service to him. While the backstage employee actions are those actions which are performed by those employees who are not dealing with the client face to face. They are not visible to the client also. They are not interacting with him face to face, but they are providing a very important, they are playing a very important role in delivering of the service by the on-stage actors, on-stage employees who are being face-to-face with the client. Let me give you an example. Right? When you go to a post office, or let's say when you go to a bank, you simply deal with the cashier. Suppose you have to withdraw the money, you You have to be dealing with the cashier, the clerk, right? So you are the customer in this particular situation, and the clerk who is face to face with you and with whom you are interacting, you can call him the on-stage actor, and whatever he performs, whatever he does is known as the on-stage employee action. But please understand, when he is doing something, right, somebody might be helping him out in the background. For example, somebody might have provided him the vouchers that you fill up and that he is giving to you so that you can fill in the details of whatever money you want to withdraw and the account from which you want to withdraw the money, right? So somebody must have given him the vouchers. Now this person who gave the clerk the vouchers is the backstage employee. He is not visible to you, he is not face to face with you. He might be visible, but he is not interacting with you as such, and the actions performed by him would be backstage employee actions. Now let me give another example of what happens in a restaurant. The customer, you are the customer, the waiter is the on-stage employee, on-stage actor. He's taking orders from you face to face. And who is the backstage employee? Backstage actor. And what backstage actions is he performing? The cook, who probably you are not able to see, who is probably working in the kitchen, and he is not interacting with you face to face, but still he is performing a major role, because unless he cooks, what would the waiter deliver to you? What would you eat? So he is performing a major role. So that is an example of a backstage employee action. Support infrastructure and systems. The people who are cleaning the kitchen, the people who are delivering the gas to the cook who is cooking the food, they can be said to be support systems. They can be said to be providing support services or support infrastructure, or maybe somebody who is taking care of the monthly maintenance of the stove. So that would be an example of a support system, right? Now what do we mean by line of interaction? It separates the customer actions from the service provider action. So the moment you are dealing with the waiter and you are giving him the order and he's taking down the order from you, the invisible line that separates you from the service provider, in this case the waiter, is the line of interaction. And why is this important? The line of interaction will separate the two entities which will be dealing with each other in a close contact. They would be in a close contact, face-to-face interaction. For example, here in this case, in the restaurant, the customer was having a close interaction with the waiter. So line of interaction is very, very important, and you need to make sure that your on-stage employees who are at one end of the line of interaction, who are on one side of the line of interaction, the other side is the customer, they need to be very, very cheerful, because their role is also going to be very, very important in ensuring that the service which is delivered to the customer is delivered in a wonderful, pleasing manner, right? Now please understand that the line of interaction would have to be taken care of, because just like I took example of a restaurant, please understand, if the food is cooked in a wonderful manner but it is not delivered to you in a cheerful fashion, the waiter is very grousy. Would you like the service? You would not have a good impression of the whole service. The reason being that though the food might be very good. So herein comes the importance of line of interaction. Let me discuss the line of visibility now. Separates the front stage from the back stage. So here in this case, in the hotel or in the restaurant, the waiter was the front stage and the cook was the back stage. And the customers are generally not able to see what is going on in the backstage. Whether there is cleanliness or not in the kitchen, they do not see. So that is an example of a backstage, and line of visibility is the one which is separating the front from the backstage, and beyond which the customer is not able to see anything. So if you have to have a clean environment, at least you provided it in the place where the food is being served. Even if the kitchen is not very clean, even that would not make such much of a difference. Why? The customer is not able to see the backstage, right? So this is the importance of line of visibility. Now what do we mean by horizontal and vertical mapping of process? I'll show you in the example. Let me show you in the example now. What do we mean by this? Is the horizontal mapping. of the process, and this is the vertical mapping. Horizontal mapping is what does the customer do. Now please understand, this is the physical evidence, right? What are the physical evidences? We have seen already the website, the parking, everything will create an impression. Lobby, furnishing, the doormats that you've used, the elevator, the lift, how does it look, the uniform that the employees are wearing, the room decor, the furniture and everything. This is an example of physical evidence. So that is also included in service blueprint, but please understand customer actions. What does the customer do? And this is the horizontal mapping of what he does in a sequential fashion. So first of all, he'll come, and this is an example of a hotel where he's staying for the night. So he'll make a reservation and then he'll be arriving at the hotel, right? And then he will give his bag to the bell person or the person who's attending him. Then he will check in, he'll provide all his details, he'll probably also make the payment and he'll check in, he'll get the key to his room, go to the room, and then there the person who had taken his bags from him and who was carrying his bags will deliver the bags to him, and then the customer may tip the bell person, this particular person who has actually carried his bags. So this is the horizontal mapping. Likewise, horizontal mapping of the on-stage actions also. First of all, greet and take bags, then register the guest and deliver the bags. Likewise, horizontal mapping for everything. Fine. What do we mean by vertical mapping? Now please understand, this is what is the vertical mapping. Now to make reservation, he'll go to the website, so that is why we have put in here. And once he makes the reservation, there would be nothing which would be done on stage, but backstage, the room would be booked for the particular customer, for the particular guest. The room would be blocked for that particular guest. So that is happening backstage, right? And then there would be some processes that might be the IT arm of the hotel, which is taking care of the whole website and everything. So that would be an example of support process. Again, have a look at here. Check-in. When he's checking in, right, the on-stage action is the person is being checked in by the on-stage attendant. It could be the receptionist who is checking, who is making the customer check in by asking him for all his details and filling up all those details in the register meant for that purpose, right? So that is why we have actually mapped it in a vertical fashion. Here, now when he receives the bag, somebody has to deliver the bag also, so that's why mapped in the vertical fashion. Fine, is that okay? For example, herein we can mention, what can we mention here? Get keys. Customer action is get keys. What can the on-stage action be? Provide keys to the guest. So this would be the vertical mapping of the actions. Fine. Now let's see where the line of interaction is. This is the line of interaction. This is, as I said, customer action and on-stage contact action, and they are being separated by line of interaction and line of visibility. The customer does not see, the guest does not see anything beyond this. He only sees the bellboy who takes his bag and delivers it to his room, or the receptionist here. He does not see who is doing what, who is making the reservations at the back end, who is managing the website of the company of the hotel, and who is actually making all these databases in the website. He does not know anything. He does not see these people, and that is why the line of visibility is here. Fine. So this is how you would have to design a service blueprint. This would give a good idea to the hotel as to what all processes are part of the service delivery, the whole process, and what all things have to be done to deliver the service to the satisfaction of the client. Now let's talk about service failure. Service failure is when the service performance fails to meet the customer expectations. Have a look here. What are the various signs of service failure? Have a look at this. This person does not seem very happy with the kind of service which has been provided to him or to her. Likewise, this particular customer here seems very peeved. So this is an example of a service failure. This is a symptom. This is a sign of the service failure. Customer response during the service interaction. This happens right at the point of delivery of the service, when he's being delivered the service right there. Or for example, when he's called up the telecalling executive, when he's called up the customer care executive has not been able to provide a satisfactory answer. So you look at the face, you look at the emotions, you will understand that the customer has not been happy, and this is where the service failure has occurred. Second thing is, how do you know that some service failure has occurred? Maybe you may not be able to know at the time of service delivery, but what if this customer lodges a complaint or customer sends his feedback? Then in that case, yes, you will understand that some service failure has occurred, and naturally in this case you would go for complaint resolution. Now, how do we recover the service. What in the first place means by recovery of service or service recovery? Prompt action to resolve the customer problem. So what do you do to resolve the customer problem? The customer is not happy with the quality of service, he is not satisfied. Then how do you resolve the problem? And there and then, do not wait for the customer to go back to his home and then to make a call to him. You have to resolve the customer issues there and then. And how do you do that? So prompt service recovery is very, very important. First thing is you need to spot that some service failure has occurred. For example, if I look at this particular, let's see, I'm there at this particular store and I'm managing the store, and I see it from my look through window that this particular customer doesn't seem very happy and she is very angry. So I spot the service failure as the manager of the store. And then the second thing that I have to do is I have to apologize. You may have to apologize even if you have not done anything wrong, because the customer is the king. Customer cannot make any mistakes. So it is for you to apologize as a service provider. And once you have apologized, please know that apologizing alone is not sufficient. It's not enough. You have to take prompt corrective action, do whatever is required to correct the situation so that the customer goes back satisfied. And then you follow up with the customer also, whether she is satisfied with the corrective action that has taken place, whether she is okay now or she is still not happy with the quality of service, she is still not satisfied. So you have to follow it up with her, and then you have to document everything. Why do you document everything? So that once you have documented, once you have written it down, now this would be a learning for the organization, and the ideal learning would be when next time this kind of service failure doesn't happen, and in case it happens, all the people in the organization know how to recover the service. So you are documenting it for future reference so that the people can learn, your employees can learn from this instance of service failure and ensure that the service failure of this type is not repeated in future. Thank you very much for your time.